Smokers and Coldplay, that was something just like this. By the way, it is Thursday right here on the bonus stage, and that means only one thing. It is time for Bonus Stage Plus. And tonight we will be talking about the rise of the mobile esports scene right here in the Philippines. And with me in the booth right now, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Jab.
And I'm Pomi from Pitch Alliance.
All right, so yes, they're also from the mobile esports arena, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
So tonight we are going to be talking about the rise of the mobile esports scene here in the Philippines. Now, of course, I think it's safe to say at this point that everyone and their mother knows about esports. So it's stuff like bigger arena-style stuff like Dota, League of Legends, and other related games. And clearly, I do not play a lot of MOBAs, but I'm very interested in this scene. All right, I've always liked observing it from, let's say, an outsider's standpoint, because there's a lot of potential for growth here, especially that we've been getting bigger and bigger events here in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
And that same, I would say the same goes for mobile esports. And here's the thing, it is literally something smaller than mainstream esports, but there's growth happening there too, and that's what we're going to discuss right now. So Jab, what I want to know is, how did the scene basically get its start here in the Philippines?
Well, it basically is like every other esport. There are some small groups just doing all tournaments when they have a game that they actually love. And then we actually started getting into serious events when a really famous game like Clash of Clans developed Clash Royale.
Yeah.
So the developers actually made a really good competitive game for mobile. So that's when it all started. Aside from the other games that are actually already in the scene, like Vainglory, and then Hearthstone is also a mobile game. So
you would say that it was basically Supercell's fault that we have.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, because everybody had access to it. Everybody is actually familiar with the Clash of Clans characters, and then they actually really enjoy the competitive aspect of it. It's fairly easy compared to the other games like Hearthstone and all that stuff.
Even my mom plays it at certain points.
Yeah,
that's how accessible it is.
Yeah, it is very accessible, and it's kind of, it has that familiar feel, and then it's easy to play. You just put down units, but at a certain point, if you want to be competitive with it, it really goes deep with the strategy.
Yeah, it's actually pretty technical, like the timings. It's considered an RTS. RTS meaning it's a real-time strategy. Same with StarCraft. So everything like has a count, it's actually pretty complicated if you want to go pro with it.
So it's one of those games that's easy to pick up, but you need to dedicate time in order to master it.
Yeah.
Really a lot of time.
Sooner or later, maybe my tita might be asking about it. Hey son, what's your APM or something like that.
Actually, if your tita knows about the prize pool that you can actually get from the tournaments, she would actually try to play for sure.
She might.
She might.
Which, I don't know, this question just sort of popped into my head right now. Will you be doing like exclusive, like tita-only Clash Royale leagues?
That's actually a pretty good idea.
Oh, that's a pretty good idea.
You're welcome.
Only 50 years old and above can play and register.
Yeah.
And have him play on stage.
But we are going to get to that later. But yeah, the start of the scene. So around what year was this?
Last year?
Last year.
Yeah, last year. Last year was actually
that's for
the
local.
Boom. Yeah, for local.
Vainglory has been big in, I think, Europe and NA for like the past 3 years. So
yeah.
For local, it's Clash Royale. Simply because Clash of Clans is extremely famous. It translated to Clash Royale, and then boom, last year it's just tournaments all over.
But yeah, it's nice that we already had an existing fan base for Clash of Clans, so it was easy for Clash Royale, or at least the player base
to make the transition,
to jump over to Clash Royale. Which, okay, full disclosure, I haven't tried Clash Royale yet because mostly hardware issues. I mean, you see my phone right here now.
It's not actually that.
No, it would work on your phone for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Even old phones. That's how accessible it is.
But from the gameplay that I've seen, it's faster paced. You have to really think on your feet while engaged in a match. So I guess it's that pace and that competitiveness that helped the game get the foothold that it has here, at least in mobile esports.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And all right, so you have Clash Royale. What are the other staples that we currently have in the scene right now?
Well, you always have to have a kind of MOBA game. So we have Vainglory.
Okay.
And Hearthstone is technically a hybrid game, so you can actually play it on any device.
And here's the cool thing about Hearthstone, all right? I've had friends who only recently picked it up, as in this year. So that base is still growing. You have people also, sort of fading away from it and then just diving back in every time a new update comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hearthstone is actually cheating a bit because they're number 3 now on the global esports scene. That's global, so that's not just mobile.
Yeah.
But they also count on mobile because technically you can play it on your phone.
Is that combined with a mobile player
Yes,
base?
it's
or
cross-platform.
It's cross-platform. So the stats also includes
Carry
the
over.
mobile. Yeah.
So just by simply having
Yes.
that mobile audience, they can just jump to that spot in the global rankings.
Yeah.
Very sneaky, Blizzard.
Yeah.
You already have the world in your hands thanks to Overwatch, which we'll be talking about pretty soon anyway. Not this week, but next week. I mean, it's the first anniversary, and I know you're also looking forward to that. But we will dive into more aspects of the mobile esports scene after this playlist breakout. We got Paramore now. This is Told You So. That was Symphony. You're still here on the bonus stage. Of course, being a Thursday, it is time for Bonus Stage Plus, and we are talking about mobile esports, and we are going to chat with Pomi of PH Alliance. Good evening, man.
Hello.
All right. So, yes, you've been a player for PH Alliance for how long?
I think close to a year now.
Close to a year. So, still relatively young. I mean, then again, this is a pretty young scene.
For
that we're
PH
talking-
Alliance, I've been part of different teams for the past year, so...
All right, just for PH Alliance.
Yeah, just for PH Alliance.
All right, but in totality, how long have you been part of this scene?
I think 3 years now.
That's an impressive figure right there. All right, so how did you get your start?
As funny as it sounds, I quit my day job just to go professional, and then go from earning from tournaments into looking for sponsors, which turned out to be really hard. So try to work a lot of my gameplay to be good and get sponsors. Then there I've been part of 3 teams now, all with sponsorships and pay. So it's all good now.
That is that is incredible, but I can only imagine how difficult it was during those initial years.
Yeah,
where
it was sad. It was actually sad. So how do you explain to your parent that you're quitting your job and trying to go pro?
Play games all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, sir, I've decided that I'm going to earn money from playing video games. But, these days, of course, we're talking about esports now. That is turning more and more into a really lucrative field.
Yeah.
But, of course, you need the skills to back that up. So, what do you think would be the skill requirement to get a sponsorship these days?
Actually, you just need to have competitive background.
Okay.
Like winning the competition is hard, so you need to practice a lot. A lot of people doesn't realize it, but we actually have routines and we have like minimum gameplays a day. A lot of team has that, so yeah, you need to be extremely dedicated.
All right. But looking at what you said about routines, this isn't as strenuous as something like being in South Korea, right?
No. Well, some team does a boot camp on different countries, so
I see.
Yeah. But we just do it online because Philippines.
It depends on the certain level you want to hit.
Yeah.
So the dedication would probably be at par with the level you want to hit. So.
All right, so now that you're here, you're a pro. Of course, you need to maintain your skills. What do you do every day in order to keep your skills up and even improve them further down the line?
Well, for Hearthstone, it's kind of different because I only play Hearthstone professionally. So it's kind of different for us because it takes a lot of research and statistics. So the practice is like the last thing you want to do. You want to do the practice after the research. So because for other games, you need to practice all day. For us, we need to research a lot of the times and then practice what to research. So it's like 50 matchups, all the same, played all over again until you get the numbers you want. Because it's a card game. It's basically statistics.
I can imagine that you have to do a ton of reading as part of your daily routine.
Yeah.
Like which cards go against which.
Not specifically reading, like watching VODs of tournaments.
Okay.
Because that's how you see how the deck is played. So yeah, you need to watch a lot and then look at the stats because a lot of websites actually compile the stats, and then you try to refer your lineup to that. So yeah, it's a lot of like looking at numbers and watching.
So whoever said that gaming, especially pro gaming, doesn't involve juggling a lot of numbers,
hard
you have
work.
proof right here.
Yeah.
Hard work.
It takes
Really.
a lot of work, but yeah, I mean, it pays off. I mean, okay, can you give us a sort of estimate on how much a pro gamer would earn these days under the current conditions?
Oh yeah,
We got a millionaire.
We got my teammate actually won 7.5 million last January. So
from which tournament?
China, WESG.
See, the prize pools for these are getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
That's just a sign for growth. And where do these prize pools usually come from?
It's mostly from sponsors because because from like Korea and China, esports are actually really big. Like big companies are
Sponsoring.
They have
esports.
huge
Yeah.
companies dealing with these, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's basically like giveaway money because they earn it through marketing and stuff. So
Actually, I remember WSU was sponsored by Alipay.
Okay, so yeah, we talked about how prize pools work, and most of these are also, especially when we talk about the fighting game community. This is really community based.
Yeah. But for the, for mobile esports arena, it's actually from sponsors.
Okay,
So we get that. It's really, really big prize pools. It's like 5 figures.
okay,
People are actually earning 5 figures a month.
and it can
Per
only
game.
it can only get bigger from here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So whoever you are out there, if you're considering a career in mobile esports, there's basically what you're going to be in
Yeah.
for if you actually start practicing and get into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So-
that's even outside the salary. If you're sponsored, you're a pro player.
You're personally sponsored.
Sponsored, you have salaries and such, and
Yes.
sponsorship materials. Yeah.
But of course, there's still a lot of hard work behind
Yeah,
it.
it's always a lot of hard work. Whenever you wanna earn or whatever, because if it's too easy, everybody will probably do it.
yeah.
Okay, one last question for this bit. What are the challenges you face as a pro player these days?
Time management.
Connection.
Connection. Yeah, no, actually, time management's pretty hard because if you're a pro player, you dedicate your whole day to like being good. So yeah, it's actually came to a point that you're kind of getting bored with your game, but you have to because that's what you do for a living now. So yeah, that's basically it.
Same goes for, let's say, working around the games industry. People would think that, hey, you're dealing with video games all day.
Yeah.
That must be fun. But
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
tell them that this is still work for me.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
It's a whole different mindset that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, eventually, when you play the game as many hours as a pro player, it will eventually turn to work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking at, let's say, pro fighting game players, and they say it is work.
Yeah.
It's passion, but it's still work.
Yeah.
All right, we will be back with more, but first, more music. You're still here on the bonus stage, and of course, it's time for bonus stage. Plus, we are still talking to the awesome folks of the mobile esports arena, and we're talking about the mobile esports scene here in the Philippines. So let's dive into miscellaneous details, shall we? All right. So you guys organize tournaments every now and then. What are
month.
Yes, every month. Okay, so we'll get more details on that later. But what I want to know, and what I'm really curious about is, of course, nothing can ever run smoothly. We believe in Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
What are some of the weirdest and craziest things that have happened to you while trying to set up a tournament?
Oh, weirdest thing?
Yes.
Huh. Probably the usual Pinoy stuff.
Okay.
You know, like when you release the bracket, you
Okay.
basically know who you're fighting, right?
Yes.
So you post an announcement. The bracket is here. First question. Paano ko po malalaman kung sinong kalaban ko?
Okay, if we actually had a camera in the booth right now, I'm sort of face palming, but questions like that do arise. I mean,
Yeah, always.
there's
Does arise always. You can ask any organizer. That would always be there if you're organizing a tournament in the Philippines.
that could actually be its own bonus stage plus episode. Is like
You can talk about that all
TO. It could be TO horror stories right there, but I'll
Yeah.
save that for Halloween. Actually,
Yeah, a lot of tournament organizers can give you a lot of
lists,
Pinoy stories for
Yes,
sure.
we will.
For
We
sure,
will
for sure.
get to that. But this is a conversation that we had earlier before we actually started the segment, and one thing that I've always been curious about, because I've seen them at previous events with actual tournaments and actual gameplay. Is there a standard for hardware in mobile esports?
Yeah. Usually the good organizers would actually provide stuff or gadgets for players to use.
That's for
But-
live events.
Yeah, but it's usually player preference because you can actually provide the most high-end iPad or whatever, iPad Pro or whatever, but then the player would actually prefer to play on an iPhone 4S for some reason. because they're used to it.
Or maybe the Android phone that they carry around all the time.
Yeah, it's usually that way. It's usually around player preference. So, but as far as equipment goes, it's usually best to play on the high-end stuff. Usually, so you don't run into problems.
And let's go back to what you also told me earlier. So it's player preference. You bring your own device, but if anything happens, that's on you.
Yeah.
Always,
of course.
So you've given me examples like messages suddenly coming in, or like calls.
Mom checking on you.
Because of course I've seen you guys at previous events that I've either hosted or just dropped by. Has anything like that happened, like in the middle of a high stakes match?
Yeah, that we actually experienced one game with that. It's a high stakes match. I think it was for the semifinals of a Vainglory tournament. One guy actually got lagged because somebody tried to wish him luck during a game. So you can imagine you're playing on your phone, message comes in, good luck on your next match while you're actually playing the game. And
it covers your screen.
Yeah, it covers up your screen. Just basically takes you out of the app. You have to get back into it.
Yeah,
especially when you click on the notification, it gets you out.
Yeah, and I can only imagine that you're in the middle of, let's say, winners finals of the of a high stakes tournament, and suddenly your mom calls and goes like, "Anak, daan ka ng supermarket." I was like, "Mom, not right now. I'm in the middle of a high stakes match. All right, just let me know later kung anong papabili niyo. Like, love you." And then you just
Mom, this is for the groceries.
Yes, like I'll get you more than groceries if we win. I mean, because given the prize pools that the prize pools that are involved here, I mean, you can buy your mom more than just groceries. What you stand to win from these tournaments.
And that's why we always have the disclaimer to the players that if you choose to use your own device, it's not our fault. If it misfunctions with anything,
you're running the risk on your own. Yeah, a lot of those stuffs actually happen in tournaments. As funny as it seems, especially with the money they're playing for and all the hard work.
There needs to be some sort of guidelines for this. Like, do you ever ask players to like turn off push notifications when?
That's a standard. Yeah. You always actually remind them, and usually those guys that don't know how to do that, they don't make it to the final stuff.
It's the guys that remember to do that.
Yeah. Those who really play competitive knows how to do that. So
I mean, if you've been here for a while, of course you'll be familiar. You'll be familiar with the rules. Just like, of course, if you're in a, let's say, Street Fighter tournament, you always do button checks and make sure your controller's working. Same goes for anything that involves competitive gaming. I mean, you're playing, let's say, a full-fledged MOBA like Dota 2, and then you just make sure that your mouse and keyboard actually works. Same goes for mobile, and I can imagine it's a little bit different for mobile devices. When something like that happens, like, let's say someone's phone is dead, do you find a charging station, or you at least have someone provide an extra device?
Yeah, most of the time we provide the charging stations, so it's not an issue for them. The issue is just
they forget to plug in.
They forget to plug in.
You're in the heat of the game, you just forget about charging.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Like, you swipe the battery low notification to the side because you're in game, and then you forget that it's actually dying.
Yes, and speaking of which, notifications, the dreaded low battery notification. That'll be a total bummer to get while you're like in the middle of, let's say, a team fight.
Yeah.
I hope I'm using my terms right.
That's actually
that's right.
pretty
good. Right. For Vainglory, anyways.
Yes. All right. But anyway, other stories other weird stories that have happened while in the middle of tournaments, like, say, maybe not about hardware failure, but just some of the weirdest encounters that you've had in this particular scene.
Come to think about it, what's the weirdest?
Yes.
I don't know.
It doesn't have to be exactly a horror story because it's not even Halloween yet, but just something that's really out of left field for what you usually do, or compared to...
Well, the story's a bit technical, but if you're familiar with the double elimination bracket,
okay,
some player loses the winner's bracket, and then they didn't know that there's a loser's bracket, so they go home.
Yeah.
So they kind of wasted, like, they waited a whole day to play.
Okay.
Then they lose one. They forget that it's like 2 to lose double eliminations bracket. Of course, you need to lose twice to get eliminated. So they go home after the first loss. Then you keep calling, and then you keep contacting them, trying to look for them. So
like, it's pretty for offline
common.
events.
Yeah, it's for offline events. Yeah.
They usually, and And then when you actually do get a hold of them, they say, "Pauwi na ako."
No,
Yeah.
you're at home already. Yeah,
home.
it's kind of funny. Nasa banyo ako, ganun. Bakit?
Yeah, this.
May laban ka po eh.
I guess this is prevalent, especially for people who are like super new to this. Like, this is their first time.
Yeah.
And by the way, just to explain to our audience, double elimination means, like Pompey said earlier, you need to lose twice. Your first loss means that you only get knocked down to a lower bracket,
Yeah.
and you have to compete twice as hard to basically get your way back into the finals. And when you get to the grand finals, you have to win twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be grueling, but hey, that's some of the most compelling esports stories come from
Yeah.
people who fought their way out of the losers bracket.
Yeah.
So we've got tons of stories, but we are woefully short on time tonight. But anyway, thank you guys for coming on by.
Sure. Thank you,
and, being able to talk about mobile esports. There's so much more. Maybe I might call you back sometime in the near future.
Not a problem.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, where can we find you guys online?
Yeah, you can find Mobile Esports Arena on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Mobile Esports Arena. That's how easy it is.
So all your events, updates, what
Yes.
have you, they're all posted there. It's
All the
very
information.
comprehensive. Wait, you did mention something about streaming earlier. You guys have a Twitch channel?
We have a Twitch channel, but we mostly stream all our stuff on Facebook right now because we're a Facebook country.
And yeah, that's so much
yeah.
easier. Twitch can, okay, I gotta admit, Philippine internet sometimes is not so friendly to Twitch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's sometimes you just have to watch the VODs on YouTube or just archived anywhere else. But yeah, they're usually on Facebook Live, also on your page.
Yes, it's all there. Even the other channels, like
YouTube.
we have a YouTube channel too, but we advertise everything on Facebook, so it's easier for everybody to find.
All right, so as a closing word, Pompey, you have any advice for anyone who wants to get into this?
If you want to, just be dedicated. Like everything else you do, just need to be dedicated and then put your head into it. It's not something you need to jump. It's not something you can jump into and be good at that moment. It's something you actually need to work hard for. So yeah.
All right. Practice makes perfect. It takes time. Don't rush things.
Yeah, of
Basically, this is knowledge that we already have, but it bears repeating with anything that you do that
Yes.
involves passion and competitiveness. All right. So thank you guys, and let's get back to more of the music. Here's something from Mother Monster herself, Lady Gaga. This is The Cure right here on the bonus stage on 99.5 Play FM.